Hi, it's Amy here from Click Roll Boom, and today I'll be talking to Paul Wenzel, a Pennsylvania-based wirehound who've just put out their debut album, The Anatomy of a Thought Undone. Yeah, so I guess the first question is, who is Wirehound? Can you tell me a bit more about the project and how it started?
Sure. It's actually a really fun story. I was in college and I was starting to take music very seriously. And then I had some, problems that people have when they're in college, and wound up taking a break and going home and deciding to do music really seriously. And I'm from Long Island in New York. I was about 30 minutes outside of New York City. And at the time, we're talking, 2000, 2001,
Yeah.
give or take. There was a really decent bar scene, a lot of original music. But I was 19 or 20 years old at the time. So they wouldn't let me in to do open mics. So I
Okay.
ended up sneaking into a few of these places. And one dude, after a couple weeks, like, I really like you. I know this drummer who would go really well with you,
Yeah.
and that is my drummer right now, Jason Reddish, the drummer for WIREHOUND. We've been playing since then. We had other guitarists and bassists, incredibly talented people, but me and him we got each other immediately.
Yeah.
So we started playing together 20 something years ago, and through all of the breaks and everything else, it's basically been me and him. So
Okay.
we formed WIREHOUND officially a couple years
Yeah.
ago to do this, but we've been playing together for a good long time.
Has it
He's
always
like a
been has it always been this kind of style you've been playing when you've been playing together, or has it been different things?
Yeah, basically I don't really write for a genre, you know what I
Okay.
mean? I know there's a lot of people who say that, but I really do whatever I kind of feel like, and I listen to so many incredibly varied things
Yeah.
all the time. So the music that I make comes out, completely randomly. There's always this little essence. I always talk to people about this because I think, when I play 20 something instruments, right? But
Oh
I
wow.
don't. But here's the thing. I can play them well enough to like record them. I
Yeah.
can play them well enough to write songs on them.
Yeah.
But I'm not. No one's going to hire me to play piano or guitar for them.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
a professional
Mm.
guitarist. So I always tell people, my main instrument is songwriting.
Okay.
To me, that's its own instrument, that's its own like medium of expression
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
really got to go with. So
Yeah.
to me, it doesn't really matter what instrument, it doesn't matter, you know anything else. The songwriting is its own thing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So what I was getting at is, when you're starting to learn how to play
Yeah.
songwriting, right? Just like when you're learning to play any other instrument, there's people that you look up to,
Yeah.
people you want to copy and emulate. So you start off like, I'm going to write a song like Kurt Cobain. Oh, I'm going to write a song like Paul McCartney this time. I'm
Yeah.
going to write some
Yeah.
Brian Wilson stuff. And then, your own sound starts
Yeah.
eventually getting
Definitely.
there until, the songs I write sound like Paul Wenzel songs. And maybe, you can hear like some Garth Brooks or,
Yeah.
some Tom York in there or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. But yeah, sorry, long answers, but
Would you
I'm a
ever
talker.
would you ever consider writing songs for someone else? If you say songwriting is an instrument in its own right, would you consider?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I have no qualms working with folks, doing anything, anywhere, anytime. I there's two songwriters unions, I think they're called,
Yeah.
BMI and ASCAP.
Mhm.
And ASCAP is in New York City, and that's the one I belong to.
Okay.
And they had called me in a few times when I was like 20 to write songs for people,
Yeah.
just as a songwriter. And, the bands would come in and say, like, we're looking for this kind of thing. And I would sit there and, help them write a song or two, to get them going, or,
Yeah.
for a single, or what have you.
Yeah.
Um, so I love doing that stuff. I can write for other people, with other people. To me, it's all beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the best thing in the world to me,
Yeah. Is
writing a song.
Wirehound a band, or is it your project with session musicians, or is it a full?
So WireHound is a band.
Yeah.
It's me and my drummer. So
Okay.
it's me and J Red. It's a two-piece band.
Yeah.
I would love to add permanent other members,
Mhm.
but as of right now, basically, I had one of my old guitarists come and play the solos in a couple of tracks
Okay. Yeah.
because he was incredible. My old college roommate was a piano virtuoso, and I don't say that lightly. He's literally
Yeah.
an absolute genius. So I had him fly in from Iowa to
Oh wow.
play the keys and the piano. Yeah, that was a long flight. That's
Yeah.
actually 1 year ago today. Eben, from my friend from Iowa, came here to play the keys tracks. But pretty much everything else you hear is me. So
Okay.
I played almost all the guitar, all the bass, some background keys. I did the vocals. Oh, we had string and horn session people
Yeah.
come, but I wrote those initially myself and played them myself, and then did the sheet music and everything. So WIREHOUND, I would love it to be a full-fledged project in
Yeah.
terms of a stage experience, but
Mhm.
as of right now, I consider it's definitely a band.
Yeah.
There's the Black Keys and Local H. There are plenty of bands who can do it with a guitarist
Oh
slash
yeah, definitely.
bassist
Yeah.
and a drummer.
Yeah.
So and we've played practices that way, and it sounds full and good. I'm not
Yeah.
really angry with it, but so yes, but hopefully it'll be a bigger band
Does it
the
make it
next time
hard?
we talk.
Does it make it hard taking it on the road then when there's only two of you and you're playing the majority of the instruments in the studio?
Well, it makes it hard if people have expectations. You
Okay.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if someone were to hear the fully produced track of,
Mhm.
say Annabelle, one of the tracks on their
Yeah.
album, and you hear the horns and everything, and there's a more of a running bass line that I'm
Yeah.
able to do while I'm playing the guitar. You might say like that's not exactly what I expected, but if at where we are now, doing it as a two-piece, you still really get
Yeah.
the energy. You
That's
still
fine.
get
Yeah.
the feeling of it. So I think again, I would love to have it as a full band
Yeah.
experience, and I'd love to and we are looking for folks to add as a permanent bassist if I'm not going to play the bass, which I would rather play the guitar, but I'll do whatever. But I think the show, with the two of us is great. I got a couple really nice pedals. It really fills everything out. And
Yeah.
Jay is Jay's just incredible at the
Yeah.
drums. The stuff that he does, it's like three people.
Wow.
So it works out really nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like 7 arms sometimes. I don't understand how he does it all.
Yeah. How would you describe your sound?
It's really funny. I always had a really hard time answering this question because, like I said, I write a bunch of different stuff. It's just kind of what I feel at the time.
Yeah.
What's coming out. But then when we were recording the album, the producer Corey Zach at the Cocoon, right outside New York City in New Jersey, he, again, another genius. I'm so lucky to have so many people with so much talent around me. But he said that I'm basically like an American songbook writer in the style of like a Brian Wilson, where it's like Americana. It's a little taste from all these different places, because I do have some of the the blues rock, the harmony stuff. I really do try to do that, and I never really thought about it before he said it, but after thinking about it, I think that's, I'm not really going for it, but if I had to describe it, I think it's pretty good. Like, I'm just the standard American songbook guy. I'm fine with that. Makes me happy.
What other musicians have influenced your sound?
Oh man, there are so many. So growing up, I would say the first real musician that I fell in love with, crazily enough, was Garth Brooks.
Okay.
And while my sound doesn't have a lot, if you know Garth Brooks really well, you'll hear some of the stuff there. But after Garth Brooks, I became absolutely obsessed with the Beatles, which transferred to an obsession with Nirvana, and an obsession then to Radiohead, which has lasted to this day. So I would say, if we're going Beatles, I'll take Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. Anything Tom York does. We just saw The Smile last night in Philadelphia. That was fantastic. Garth Brooks, there's so much stuff. Anything I listen to gets filed away in there, and hopefully bring out the best of it, some other time in the future.
You mentioned Radiohead. Are you quite into the
Yeah.
British sort of Britpop scene?
Honestly, I don't know if you've ever talked to an American that knows and loves British stuff as much as I do. And I'm not saying that to brag. I've seen, over 1,000 episodes of Pointless. Richard Osman's House of Games. I watch a lot of British panel shows and trivia stuff.
Yeah.
The British music scene. I remember Radiohead getting me into, groups like Travis and the Electric Soft Parade.
Okay. They're quite
back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And Electric Soft Parade, that one album, Holes in the Wall.
Yeah.
I'm
surprised because they didn't really make it over here. So
no, they didn't. That's what I'm saying. I go very deep. I really do. And I love, the British take on music and on humor is just incredible to me. Mitchell and Webb is probably the best sketch comedy show I've seen that's not Monty Python. Again, not to talk to you about being British, but I just it's fun to actually talk to someone who knows what I'm talking about when I say the name Richard Osman or Pointless or some other weird 8 out of 10 cats. No one knows what 8 out of 10 cats means, or Jimmy Carr and his tax evasion. I can't make references and jokes like that to people over here. So it's nice. But yeah, I would say British music had absolutely tremendous influence on everything. Everything I do. Tom York, I'm sorry, I just want to say the one last thing is Tom York was the person who made me realize you can use your voice as another instrument.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like, here are these words that I'm saying that you have to understand. Even Kurt Cobain, I was there like listening to the words, but Tom, it was just, I'm floating now. Okay, I get it. It's more how it sounds sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the bands I mentioned in my review were the Boo Radleys. I think you sound uncannily like them. Are they a band you're familiar with?
Thank you. I'm familiar with them. I've listened to them before, but I am definitely not, I would say that they'll come across my playlists or my stereo every couple of years.
Okay.
So it's not, there's some bands that are there permanently. The Boo Radleys, everything I've heard, especially, I can't remember the name. I'm so bad with names of albums and songs. Anyway, regardless, there's one album that I really, really love, and it's very stringy. So I think it's probably the one that you did mention.
But yes, was the one I referred to.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So I don't even the bands that I love, I can't tell you the names of songs or albums. Yeah. It's one of those that just doesn't go right.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I think it's how way we consume music now, because back in the day, we had to be a discman on the bus and kind of listen to it and study in the inlay at the same time. Now we don't consume music like that. It's harder.
100. I used to know every title of every song by every, and I always said I've talked to my wife about this and said, when MTV was a thing, and every time, well, not every time, but when you were watching it, every time you heard a song, there was the name and the title and the album and the director, and you've learned all of those things and all those people.
Yeah.
And now it's just not there,
well, MTV
not in the same way.
MTV doesn't play
they don't play
anymore, does it?
especially that. Yeah, absolutely. So it's very different, and I am definitely a victim of that. I wish I remembered more, but I certainly since like 2002, 2003, it's been like.
I'm the same. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Even the stuff that Tame Impala, I must listen to more than anyone, and I can't remember which song is which. If someone says, Apocalypse Dreams, I'm like, oh wait, is that Mind Mischief? Or it's just they're all like, what are you gonna do?
Where does your songwriting inspiration come from?
So it depends. So this album is a theme album. and The Anatomy of a Thought Undone. So this one, when I was writing the lyrics, I wanted, and the songs, putting them more together for the album, I had very specific parameters, I guess I would say, in mind. Almost every song on the album, even though they sound pretty different, I think, almost every song has the same 4 chords at its base. I think 11 out of the 12 songs are based around the same 4 chords. And the lyrics, there's little references to the songs in other songs. So for that, it was really about getting the story that I wanted out there. But generally speaking, it just kind of happens. I know that's one of those answers that musicians give sometime, and I always hate hearing it, but I always understood, because that honestly, it's the way it is a lot of times. When I wrote the song after my dad passed away, that is on this album, Feeling the Pain, I didn't know what was going on in my head. I just sat down at the piano, and 5 minutes later I had this 4-minute song with the words and everything, and it was like, I don't know where it came from. I really don't. It's just, there's something inside subconsciously that gets there without me knowing, and I don't know why, but I couldn't be more grateful for it. And I'll tell you that, because man, that it surprises me sometimes. I'm biased.
What tends to come first, the words or the music?
Oh, the music. Almost 100% of the time. There are many instances where they come at the same time, but for the most part, the music is there. Like when you hear Vandal Van Gogh, the one song that that you reviewed so wonderfully. Again, thank you for that. Vandal Van Gogh, I did a dun 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 on the guitar, and then I heard everything. Like everything that you hear, all the string parts, that was in my head immediately. And then my job is to figure out how to get that to somewhere else, which again, I don't read or write music. So for me is very difficult. I just kind of have to play all the stuff and get it there. But after that, I hear the melody line, but I don't necessarily hear the exact words. What I will say that I don't hear a lot of people talk about is I'm very particular that the right sound is in the right places. You know what I mean? Like there are some lines in a song where it should end, in an E sound. So it should be like, I got a C, but people say like day, and you're like, well, why is he guttural in that? It should be like a, So I'm very, very particular about that. So I'll always write words too around that kind of thing. Like I want it to sound like this, and so I have to find the words and the sounds that kind of get me there. But most of the time, it kind of just happens. As weird as it is, it's a lot of times it's just there. Do
you ever
write 5-minute songs? What's that?
Do you ever get creative block where you want to write and you just can't?
No.
I'm
sorry. I know I don't want to lie, but really no. It's very odd. There are times when I won't be happy with songs, but I'm never unable to just write something. I will say this, I don't remember who said the thing with the 10,000 hours of doing something makes you an expert, but when I was learning how to do this, I would force myself to write at least 4 or 5 songs every day for, I don't know, 3 years.
Wow.
So I have hundreds and hundreds of songs just back there somewhere. Some are terrible, but they're, like I was saying, it's I want to write a song like this guy, or better yet, I want to take this band and this band, and then what happens if I write a song where like those 2 bands had a baby? Like on the again, to reference this album, there's a song that is called The Momentum. It's track 4 or 5, I believe. And the original name of that song was Local 97s, because the song came about because I said, what if I took Local H, that 2-piece punk band, and Old 97s, this like alt country group, and made them have a song together. And that's what came out of it. And, you know, sometimes really fun things happen.
Yeah.
A lot of times, no. A lot of times it's like putting chocolate with salmon and not chocolate with peanut butter. It just doesn't work, but at least you tried it.
Yeah.
Tried it.
So it's all about challenging yourself, like giving yourself challenges to create something new and different, push boundaries.
You can't be scared. Yeah, you can't be scared to do something bad because you'll never grow. You know, no one who writes music, no musician you've ever heard, no author you've ever read, no comedian you've ever laughed at is faultless or has not done a lot of bad things, if not significantly more bad than good. But it's the people who don't get discouraged. They don't put their heads down. They go, oh, okay, so that worked, but those things did not work. And now to take that little thing that worked and, you know, harness that and learn from the rest. So I don't mind putting out a bunch of bad stuff, but, you know, as long as it teaches you. But it also gave me that ability to just kind of pick up a guitar or sit at the piano and then say, like, I'm going to write a song right now. And then I write a song. You know? And there it goes. Yeah.
You mentioned you've just put out your debut album, The Anatomy of a Thought Undone. You said there was a story behind it. Can you tell me the story?
Sure, absolutely. So I will say that I initially wrote the first and last track of this album when I was 17 years old. So back in like 1998, 1999, before I went off to college. And back then, it was still going to be a theme album, but I had broken it up into like 4 different stories. So the first 4 songs were one story, et cetera, et cetera. But when I got to it this time, I realized, you know, with so much more at my disposal in terms of how many songs I've written and, you know, the experience that I had, that I could really flush it out. So I had the character of someone called the Dreamer, which is what the album is about. Also the title of the last track, the track for the Dreamer, was also maybe going to be the album. It was either going to be The Anatomy of a Thought Undone or The Dreamer, the album. So basically it's about someone who is trapped in their life and can't do anything for whatever reason. In my head, it's someone who couldn't live up to their potential, or someone who you know had it right there and then let it go. And because of that, they can't get over it. And it might be in love or in work or whatever it may be. You know, there's different songs about that throughout the thing, but it's basically someone who kind of half tries and always winds up, you know, disappointed and hurting. So they figure out that when they're asleep, they're really happy because they have really nice dreams. So basically they try their hardest to just get through every day as best they can to kind of fall asleep. And, you know, that's real for them and better for them. So, you know, it's about not really giving up, but just kind of giving up.
Are these fictitious situations, or are these sort of partly real life?
This is, well, so I would say almost all of the songs have some pearl of truth to them. You know, the feeling the pain is about loss, and that is really about, you know, when my father passed away. There's a few songs as well about pain and being trapped. And I haven't talked about it here, but I have something called complex regional pain syndrome, which is also called the suicide disease. It's the most painful condition that we know about as humans. It's unbelievably terrible. I don't even have words to describe it. They have like pain charts that go up to 50, and you know, giving birth is like a 38. Having like having a kidney stone is a 44, and CRPS is 48. And it never stops and it never goes away, and no medicine works on it. So you can't take painkillers. What happens is my brain healed wrong when I got injured,
Okay.
and instead, and so it turned on a pain signal
Mm.
that goes 100% of the time.
Wow.
It never stops. It never turns off. It's just constant pain down my leg that rendered me unable to walk, unable to move. It's so severe. It sounds silly,
Mm.
but if I were to rest my hand on my leg,
Yeah.
I would start crying. If I were cold and I put a blanket on my legs, I would start crying from pain because just the weight
Yeah.
of the blanket
Mm.
was agony. So, there was a good 6 years there where I basically couldn't leave one room of my house.
Wow.
So I was in a lot of pain and trapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, even though I may not have intended it, I do think a lot of it came through
Yeah.
here because it's more than I would wish on even the worst.
Yeah.
Uh, Even the worst,
It's
because
horrendous.
there's a reason they call it the suicide disease.
Yeah.
It's most people, and the worst part is it's progressive,
Mhm.
so it will always get worse, and it spreads randomly.
Yeah.
So I could wake up tomorrow, and instead of being in my right leg, it'll also be in my right arm or my left leg, and then whatever happened to my right leg would happen there. I wouldn't be able to use it or walk or
Mm.
anything like that. I'm very lucky, um, uh, and you could call it what you will, but there is a doctor in America that teaches other doctors how to do a special surgery to combat some of the symptoms of CRPS.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he moved to my town a few years ago, my little Amish country town in the middle of Pennsylvania. I'm not in a big city.
Oh,
An hour and a half outside of Philadelphia,
okay.
about three hours outside of New York City.
Yeah.
But I am literally in what they call Amish country, so horses and buggies and all that stuff. And this incredibly sophisticated genius of a doctor moved here for
Wow.
some reason. And I went to him, and after 4 years of having this undiagnosed, not even knowing what was wrong with me, he figured it out, and they did a surgery where they put electrodes on my spinal cord and like a battery inside my back, and it sends like a really strong electrical current down my nerve in my leg every minute and a half for like 15 seconds,
Yeah.
and it scrambles the pain signal. So I'm still in a lot of pain all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Let's not mince words here, but compared to the way it used to be, I'm in heaven. Every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's still terrible, but it's not like it was. Yay!
That's a good
It's
thing. Yeah.
yeah. Honestly, if you can't get through what I got through and find a love of life and an appreciation for every little thing, then you've done something really
Mm.
wrong with your
Yeah.
life.
Definitely.
I just want to be able to walk outside and see the wind blowing through the
Yeah.
trees, on a beautiful day. I don't really need much else. You
No,
know,
definitely. It makes you appreciate the small things.
yeah, you have to
Yeah.
be able to do that, and
Yeah,
this kind of
definitely.
forced that on me.
Yeah.
It really did. I'm just lucky I had a tremendous support system. My family was incredible. They still are.
Yeah.
I still have really bad days, but they're there. They're there for me, and they love me, and they never complain about the stuff I'm going through. So
No, it
again,
sounds
I'm very, very lucky. But yeah,
yeah.
to answer your question from an hour and a half ago, yes, some of the songs are personal. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Um, so now the record's out, do you take a break from writing, or is it just something you continue to do all the time?
It's for me. I took a break. I'm going to put that in quotes. I told the producer, Corey. I talked about him before. I told the producer in our like third or fourth session that one of the things that happens when I've recorded in the past, and again, this is 20 years ago, since I was able to do anything like this. When I recorded in the past, I would be in the middle of this months-long process of recording these really new songs that I was really happy about, and then I'd write like 10 songs in the interim, be like, oh, I want to do these songs now, and the guy's like, no, you have to do the songs that we're recording. Like, no, look at these songs, these are even better than those songs. Like, no, we have. So
Yeah.
I told him, because I do have that puppy Like, hey, very, oh boy. I had that like puppy instinct in me.
Yeah.
I would try to not intentionally write any songs. So I'm never like picking up a guitar and being like, okay, let me see if I can get something out here. I got something in me. Now, every once in a while, I'm doing dishes in the kitchen and a song will pop into my head. I'm like, okay, I mean, that's there. I got to do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm practicing and, I'll hit something and be like, oh,
Mm.
but intentionally I'm taking a break not because I'm burnt out, but because the opposite, because I get like so excited. I really, a lot of people describe me as a human puppy because I am very, very happy and excited and just even though, like I said before, the little things get me like, oh boy.
Is WIREHOUND your only project at the moment?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, WireHound, anything that I'm going to do is going to go to WireHound. There is I do rap production as well. I do, beat making and whatnot. And, I have a friend, a group of friends actually called Poetic Alchemy. They're out in California and they are just about the most talented rap group I've ever heard. And I'm not just saying that because I know them. They had 3 albums back when we were in college. I went to college with them, I should add. And 2 of their rap albums are in my top 10 rap albums of all time. It's just brilliant stuff. So I wound up staying friends with them. We would like play shows in the same, when I was at college, we'd both play shows together. And now I'm going to be doing some beats for them. I did beats for one of them a few years ago. Actually, Vandal Van Gogh, I turned into a beat with like electronic drums and he rapped over it, which is really, really fun. His name is Soul Mystic. I can't remember the names of it. It was called the Mind Expanding Mixtape. Excuse me, I believe. So I did like 4 or 5 beats on that one. And they just announced that they were Poetic Alchemy, announced that they were getting back together.
Okay.
And they asked if I wanted to do some more beats. So I would love to do that, but I don't know. I wouldn't consider that like a project. I'm helping them out. I like orchestrating stuff. It's fun. So, and they're, again, like I said, geniuses. I just absolute the ability to the wordplay that both of them have they're so opposite. The 2 guys in Poetic Alchemy, but it works so well together. It's just they really know what they're doing. Yeah.
So have you gigged much? Have you played live much?
Oh, back in the day. Yeah. Lately I haven't done nearly as much as I would like to. Back in the day we used to play all the time. I was making rounds with my band. So I would play on the radio on Long Island a few times. And the guy that was there, a guy named Harlan, who is still one of the nicest guys you've ever met in your life, was like, I like you. Would you like to come open for Maroon 5 at this like 7,000 person stage?
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, I would. So, back when they were, they were still big at that point. They weren't where they are now, but it was the Songs About Jane tour. So still, people knew all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I got to open for them. Phantom Planet, who did that song California.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the OC, I think. The Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh, wow.
The guys who did like Peaches and Lump.
Yeah.
Rusted Root. We'd play shows constantly. Anytime I could. I would honestly play every single night if I could right now. I'm like, it's my favorite thing in the world. I'm really, really itching to. That's one of the reasons I wanted the full band. I really want to get. I want to look at like all these people and be like, yeah, let's do this thing.
Definitely.
Let's play this thing together that we just practiced. There's no better feeling.
What has been your biggest show to date?
In terms of people? The Maroon 5. Oh, the Maroon 5. Well, you know what? That's not true. That's actually not true. One time I was asked to play, I would say like a small festival in Manhattan.
Okay.
But the whole street was closed off. On like one of the big Manhattan streets, and I played there and there were just tens of thousands of people everywhere. That one was insane. I wouldn't say I had as many attentive listeners. But there were, it was Manhattan. So that was gigantic. But in terms of people who actually cared that I was doing something, the Maroon 5 show was, a fully packed venue of thousands and thousands of people. That's one of the best moments of my life. Best moments of my life for sure.
Have you got any shows lined up at the moment?
I was actually just talking to Jason this morning about getting a couple more shows. We have been working on the 2-person thing. Like I said, like I don't want to take these songs out and have them be hollow shells. I still want them to feel the energy that you felt from the record, even if it's a slightly different arrangement. So I think we're getting really close. It sounds really good. So I think that in the next couple of weeks, I hope we'll be announcing some gigs coming up in the Philly to New York area. That's basically where we're going to be focusing for now. But anyone who wants us to play anywhere, I'm happy to do it. So anyone who sees this and likes the album, let me know.
Touring's expensive though.
Oh, I know, but it's like I said, there's nothing that I want more. I had nothing. I expected nothing out of the rest of my life, and it sounds dire, and it is, but when I was sitting on my couch for years, just spending every day trying to breathe because it hurt too much to even move that much. You know what I mean? I said I'm never going to do anything again. I'm never going to be able to go down the block. I'm not going to be able to go to graduation from, I'm not going to be able to do literally anything. So if I get the chance to do the thing I love most in the world, oh boy. Oh, I don't care if I have to go broke. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be smiling like a big dumb dog every second of it, because to me, it's not about, the only thing it's about is the love of music. I don't care about anything else. And I want to share this music with people who feel it and who understand and who love music. And I don't care if I make a cent. I don't care if I lose. I think the songs have something to them. I really do. I know I'm biased because I wrote them, and I wouldn't write songs that I hated because that would be really weird. So I know I'm going to like them more than anyone else because they're mine, but I really do think there's a lot there. So I really want it to get it to people. So whatever I got to do, I'm going to do it.
Have you ever played outside? Outside of the States?
No, not yet, but that's the dream.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I would absolutely, man. Jules Holland would be like, that's one of the shows that I don't know if there's a better music show that's ever been on television. The format of these massive groups playing with these unheard of people, and there's no fluff. It's just one to the other. It is literally as good as it gets. If you love music, love discovering new music, because of them, I learned who KT Tunstall was, Haley Bonar, Alyssa Sarah, I think her name is Alyssa Cara. They're just so many. Keen, man, there are just so many groups that I wouldn't have even known about if it wasn't for Jules Holland. So anywhere, especially England, anywhere overseas, or the UK, I should say. Sorry, anywhere overseas would be a dream. Really, absolutely.
Who would you most like to tour with?
Oh, see, now that's an interesting question. Who would I most like to tour with would probably be like Joanna Newsom, because she's the greatest American songwriter maybe ever. And that would just, wow. Getting to see that from backstage every night would be incredible. I don't think that would fit as well with what I do though. So I think if we're talking about, someone that I would kind of mesh with, I would really like to do like Fleet Foxes maybe. I think the Fleet Foxes are, when I listen to the stuff that Robin Pecknold does, it sounds like he approaches things the same but opposite way that I do in a lot of ways. So I can hear like these little essences or the influences that he's pulling, but instead of going, here with them where I went, he went here with them. Like, oh, that's brilliant. And I think that kind of juxtaposition would be a really great show. Granted, who am I? But if I had a dream, I think Fleet Foxes would be, just how great would that be? I'd love it.
And lastly, what does the future hold?
Well, we're gonna keep practicing, and we're gonna start playing shows. We're gonna add more members to the band. Hopefully this record finds some ears, and people take a shine. I want people take a shine to it. We start expanding. I've heard stories of people that put out the music, and then it just kind of builds up like a really slow snowball in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. And I'm kind of hoping for that. I'm going to do all the work I can. I'm going to contact whoever I can and do whatever promotion I can and play whatever show I can. I will not be outworked. When I was disabled, I started writing. I went to school. When I went to school, I went for journalism. So I started writing sports articles for people that do sports stuff. And I would, and it sounds like an exaggeration, but again, you have to remember, I was in agony 24 hours a day. I couldn't get more than 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and I needed something to do to take my mind off of everything else. I would spend about 16 to 18 hours every day working, reading, writing, editing, publishing, and that was for a year and a half straight, give or take.
You must have been so exhausted that whole time, mentally, emotionally, physically.
I was, but I don't remember the pain as much.
Okay.
So I'll take the trade-off. I'd rather be exhausted, because then maybe I'll sleep more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a lot of work, but I don't mind.
Yeah.
I've grown numb to it in a lot of ways. So, hold my breath, put my head down, and then do what needs to be done. And I don't know anyone else who's gonna beat that. They might be able to work as hard, but I'm gonna work as hard as I can. I need people. Basically, the hope is that we find people who know the things that I don't.
Yeah.
Because I may know how to write and do the music stuff, but when it comes to social media and promotion and any of that, I'm lost in the woods, honestly. So I'm doing my best and looking for people to do that, but hopefully, that's part of a next big step. And then, in a couple of years, album number 2, which I already have, a bunch of the songs lined up for, because I have hundreds and hundreds of songs I've been waiting to record for 15 years in some cases.
Did you not put it out before 2 years? Do you want to leave sort of a gap in between, or?
I do want to leave a gap in between. It costs money. Yeah. And I think that as much as I would love to just go again, record 100 songs and come out with 10 albums in, a 5-year span, like King Gizzard or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't have that. One of the things I didn't say, I'm in America, so I have a pain medicine that I have to take every day that also helps kind of mute how much I care about the pain. Okay. Like I said, there's nothing that really combats the pain, but there are things that'll help me get through, right? And I spend $50 a day on that every day. So the money that I spend has to be very carefully, allocated. And I don't want to have to rely on Jason to have to pay for everything all the time, because that's not his job. He's doing this like I am because of love. He's not an investor. So I think it's as much as I would love to just reckless abandon it, go for it and do everything I can. I want to see how much we could do with this one. I don't think there are times I've not been happy with recordings in the past, and I think everyone who's recorded a bunch will tell you there are some recordings that they've done that they just can't listen to, because you're like, oh, ooh, how did that get by?
Yeah.
But this one, I've listened to it a bunch, and I really think it holds up to the scrutiny I have for it.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine anyone having more scrutiny for something I do than me.
Yeah.
Typical self-loathing behavior, but that's, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, that's what.
So yeah, I think that's going to be it. Getting ready for the push for anatomy, and adding people and learning how to do social media and interviews. This is the first time when I was during COVID.
Yeah.
I was doing the disabled thing, so this is new to me. I've never really done like a video call with someone before. I had to kind of figure out where in my house to do this and how to do it, and I mean that literally. It sounds crazy because people did this for like only this for 2 years, but for me, I was just sitting on my couch going like, oh god, oh, let me get through, so to me this is new. I got to learn how to do all this stuff. It's been a long, crazy journey, and in a lot of ways I feel like I'm just getting started with it, and that's exciting.
It's definitely exciting.
Now to just get it going, right?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for talking to me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. No, really, this was the first interview I've ever been asked to do.
Really?
I've had a couple of like newspaper interviews back 25 years ago, but those were more like promotional, like talk about this bar that you played, sort of. You know what I mean? More than actually like, so tell me about your approach to songwriting, where I get to actually come up with like thoughtful responses and talk to folks about how I tick. So no, this was wonderful. This was, I'll never forget this. I really appreciate this.
That's all right.
You did not need to be apprehensive. New or not, you did a fantastic job. Great questions. You kept the flow going. A plus. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for everything. Really.
That's all right. Brilliant. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.